Hello, St. Luke's family. This is Pastor Jim. Who gets into our hearts, into our lives, into our homes? That's the topic of 2nd and 3rd John. We're doing this little series called Small but Mighty, the smallest books of the Bible that still have a lot to say to us as God's people. And so today, 2nd and 3rd John. 2nd and 3rd John, there's actually 1st, 2nd, and 3rd John, not to be confused with John, the Gospel of John, which tells the life of Jesus and is the 4th Gospel. These books are letters to churches or to individuals, and they're right at the end of the New Testament. So it's 1st, 2nd, and 3rd John, Jude, and then Revelation wind up the end of the Bible. Now, 1st John's a little bit longer, so we're not going to go into that one today, but we're going to look at 2 of these books, 2nd and 3rd John, because they have a similar topic that they go after. And again, as I said, they're looking at who is in our lives, who do we invite in as part of what we do. So 2nd John is written by the elder. It says, to the chosen lady and her children, which is the church that the elder is writing to. And it begins the book by talking about that he's writing to them, but not about something new, that this is a command that Jesus gave each other, and that Jesus told us to love each other. But then he goes into this love, which seems a little bit odd at the outset of what he's talking about. He said that some people are coming around and are deceivers. And he said they are deceivers and even the Antichrist, he says, verse 7. And what he says is that in those days there were people that were Gnostics, was a type of belief that were around. Gnostics meaning knowledge. They believed they had secret knowledge. And generally, Gnostics thought that anything of the flesh, the mortal, was bad, and that the spirit was a good thing, but that generally humans were souls trapped in a fleshy body, and that the goal of the Gnostic was to get out of that entrapped body, for the soul to get out. And so they said that they believed in Jesus, but that Jesus wasn't really a human, that Jesus was a spirit that had come in something that looked like a body, approximated a body, but wasn't really. He was a full spirit, and that he had come to give people secret knowledge about how to free their souls out of this matter. But since they said that they believed in Jesus, people started to get swayed by what they were teaching. And the elder is writing to the church and saying, no, this is not what we believe. This is not where we are. Jesus was God, but he was also truly human, that he was like us, that he was human, not a spirit, not a disembodied spirit, that he didn't give things that were secrets, that he spoke openly to people as well. And so the writer says to the church, beware of this. Beware of what you're letting into yourselves, so that you're not swayed by it. And he says, don't invite these people into your homes. Don't invite people who are saying these things into your homes, because it may change what you believe. And you need to be careful with that for yourselves and for the rest of the church. I think that's a big topic, an issue for us, because there are lots of things that people say, lots of beliefs that people have, and we are taught, and rightly so, to be open and listening to people. But at the same time, we also need to know, what do we hold on? What is central to who I am, to what I believe, and especially to my faith as a Christian, as a follower of God? What is central to that? So I can take in the things, but then what do I hold there, and how far do I let those concepts, those ideas, those things into who I am? I remember when I was in college and had a roommate who was a great guy and a great roommate. By the end of the year that we lived together, he swore all the time, swore like a sailor. And by the end of the year, I did too, because I was around it all the time. It was just part of what was going on at that time for me. And that's the type of thing that Second John is giving caution to. Be aware of what you're taking in, of who's around, what things are there, and be cautious about that. So questions then from this. Would you allow someone with very different beliefs from you over for dinner? Would you let them live with you? Would you let them be mentors for your children and teach in your church? And if all those have different ways of, I guess, parameters or sets of what happens with those folks and those ideas. So that Second John is kind of a caution to the church. Then Third John comes in, and we'll add Third John into this. Third John says that there's a conflict in the church, and that there's a particularly strong leader who is not allowing others in. There are missionaries that are coming from other places, and he is not allowing them in. And the writer says they're of the truth. They're of Christ, and they're not being allowed there. They're not being allowed to tell their stories. They're not being given hospitality and sent out in a way that's godly. They're not being supported. And so it almost seems like kind of the opposite in Third John. And Second John is a caution of being cautious of who comes in. And Third John is saying, yes, show hospitality to people that come, people of the truth. So I think both of that, though, really points to the same issue of what criteria do we use to decide who is a part of our lives and how far, and what does that being a part of our lives mean? We're called as followers of Christ to reach out to people, to reach out and be a part of their lives, and to encourage them in their lives and in faith too. But we also have that sense of being cautious for our own hearts and our own minds of what comes in. So we have both of those things that go on. So I think those two books together are such a great combination because we're at different points and different places in our lives. There are some times when we need to, there are some times when some of us have maybe friends in our lives that, really encourage us. And then other times in our lives when friends that kind of drag us down, we notice that energy goes down. And so what do we do with that? Some of that depends on where we are and how anchored we are in our lives with Christ and what we can have for ourselves. I think sometimes, though, that we don't always realize that we even have a choice, that we have decisions to make and kind of who's and how far in people are in our lives. And maybe that's some of the challenge or opportunity or encouragement in these letters, is to be able to look at our lives and see, oh yeah, there are people that I need to be more hospitable to, that I need to welcome in more, so that I can be an encouragement to them. And maybe there are times when we also need to say, I may need to put my energy into some other relationships besides this one here. And those are hard things to do, but they can be good ones. And I think Second and Third John are good ones to look into. So I encourage you to look into Second and Third John there at the end of the Bible, to read those and ask God what he might be saying to you in the midst of that conversation. God be with you.